Hey everyone, and welcome back. Can't beat a hot cup of joe. A good hot cup of joe at that. Alright, so today is January 1st, 2017, so appropriately, Happy New Year. And I guess belated Merry Christmas. Because by the time you guys see all these videos, it'll already be, I don't know, well, obviously past the New Year. So, where do we sit with the box? This is where we sit with the box. I have gone ahead and glued the top on, long grain to long grain. Went ahead and glued this this top piece on. We'll call it the hat to the top. And I have glued on the feet and added little leather pads to the bottom of the feet. And I glued the carcass down to the base. There's one piece that I'm not satisfied with. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to fix it, but I'll figure something out. And that is that it has a slight wobble to it. I'm sure you can see that. And that is due to this right here, this gap that you see. Now I can't pop it off there without ruining this piece and probably the base. So I'm going to figure out a way to march on. And what happened with that is when I cut these vertical lines, or those vertical cuts, the walls of the inside of that square, I cut them like this. So when I pressed and glued it together, it of course I didn't press them this way, I pressed them this way because it was long grain and long grain. I didn't really concentrate too much on the end grain, because if you didn't know, end grain doesn't glue up all that well. It's kind of pointless, frankly. So I went long grain to long grain, which was the edges, and that's what I tightened down. And unfortunately, I didn't check the parallel or square on that one. So it kind of like kicks down a little bit right here and makes it higher than the rest. So now these 2 feet are going to be uneven. So I need to prop these 2 feet up evenly on either side somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but it'll happen. Okay, so, and I've done a little bit of sanding here and there to kind of, that's one big gap in the dovetail there I'm not pleased with, but as you can tell, the rest of it looks pretty good. So, there's a few flaws, but that's okay. You know, that's what you get when you work with hand tools, and when you're not an expert or anything. So right now, it's time to add the hinges, and these are the hinges I'm going to be using. They're all brass, little finish hinges. They'll be just fine for what I'm doing here. And really, I just have to... a few things to note when you're dealing with hinges is, A, which side do you put it on, right? What I mean by that is, obviously you can't do it this way because it doesn't hinge all the way. So you got to make sure that it's going to have full hinging capabilities. And then you only want to have it where it sits off of the edge. This is probably not that great of a view, but where it sits off of the edge like so, so that your barrel, the actual hinge barrel, is sitting just off. So because it can't be inside the actual carcass itself, because then it'll bind up. So that's how you want it to look. A little bit better, like that, something like that. You get the idea. And you don't want to just screw them right to it, because then you're going to end up with a big old gap in the back, as wide as that hinge barrel is. So what we're going to do is mortise these hinges in. I'm going to inset them. And you want, I'm going to put them a nice little even distance. First I need to know where to mount them, right? So what I did was I put the top on. Looks nice, huh? I put the top on, and I made the bottom and the top, this base piece right here and this top, exactly the same dimensions. So what I did was I came in and I squared it up from the front and from the sides. Keep going back and forth until I get all the dimensions exactly perfect, and then came back here with a pencil and drew a line. Okay, now I know exactly where this edge is falling on the back side of this top. Now it's just a matter of let's get the hinges onto the carcass. And we'll just eyeball what looks good. It's only going to have 2 hinges. And you don't want them too close together. You don't want them too far apart. I think about in that range is good. A little bit. Yeah, I think that's good. So I'll just measure one of those out. So we're right at about 2 1/4. So we'll go ahead and do it to an even 2 1/4. Let's see how that looks. And that looks fine to me. So we can remove these for a second, and we'll come in. We don't need to go all the way. Remember, it's only going to go so far, right? So just go ahead and mark it about as little further than what your hinge is wide. Go ahead and mark this side too. And then, I don't mount hinges all the time. I'm just kind of walking you through what I'm doing to do this. Get it on there. I'll go ahead and use the hinge itself to mark the outer edge. And we'll just square it up. This is kind of a pointless step because we're going to be cutting the lines, but you can kind of see what I go through. And then we have to give a backing there. Well, we don't need the big guy. And I'm just using this to gauge how deep this plate is that I want to be. Looks like right at 5/16. It's a little bit almost closer to 3/8, but we'll see. I think that'll be, move it up just a hair. And that should be good. Once I set this, it's fine. And these are just gauge lines. Give me a visual aid of where this mortise is going to lie. So there's our lines. The only other piece that's really going to be a part of this, it's going to play a part, is the depth, right? So in theory, I'd want to go half the distance between when these guys are parallel like that. Half the distance between the outside edge and that inside, which looks like it's about 1/8. Now I don't want to go too deep because then I'm going to end up having to put something down below the hinge to get it back high enough, because if not, if I put it too deep, it won't close all the way, because the hinge will be too high, and then it'll leave a gap down here on the front side. So we just got to pay attention and make sure we're not going too deep. Now it looks like almost a full 1/8. A full 1/8 of an inch would be half. So I'll go just shy of that and kind of work down and see what works good, what works well with it. Now, at the point now we're going to go ahead and scribe these lines. Now I'm marking on the inside of the pencil line. You can always make it wider. Can't wait until I get to a point where I have my lamp set up and all right. So now, I don't know how this is gonna. I won't be able to clamp it in the box in the vise conventionally, but it's a good thing I made these pegs a little longer. So I can mount the base in and not the feet. And I mark them too, which this goes on the right side of the vise, this goes on the left side of the vise. And that works out well. And I'm just kind of setting the dogs to the right height. And now, so this dog system, if you haven't figured it out, is pretty awesome. I am looking into getting or making myself some brass dogs because I've already had one break on me. But in its defense, I was chiseling against it. You guys know I'm not easy on my chisels. Alright, there we go, and boom, now it's good and solid. Now it's good and solid in there, it can work. Now, first thing I'm going to do is just simply cut these little guys out, just to define. And I'm going to tap the lighting isn't working with me here. I can't see what I'm doing. On this back edge, just to give it that known end point. I'm not tapping hard, just lightly scoring that. Kind of getting this little groove to depth. I didn't mark it. For the depth, I'm just, well, I haven't marked it yet. So I'm literally going to set this at a hair over a 1/16, and then we'll work our depth down from there.
Free prints lets you print up to 1,000 4x6 photos a year, absolutely free. All you pay is a small shipping charge. It's easy. Just select the photos you want to print, choose the sizes and quantities, and you're done. The app is free, and so are prints. No subscriptions, no commitments, just free prints. Tap now to download.
It just gives me a gauge of where I'm at. I'm going to do the same to this other side. Set it in that knife nick, that knife mark. I'm not even going halfway down to my depth. Now what I can do it won't, the whole thing assembled will not open up wide enough for me to get sideways on it. So I'll come in from this direction. I'm kind of deciding whether to break it out this way, or I think I'm just going to come in at it from this direction since it's so shallow. Make sure I don't go past my depth. And I'm just kind of eating away about the first half of it. Being very, very careful to color within the line, so to speak. I mean, the whole point, no matter how you get it, however you do it, is just to take away the meat inside those scribed lines that you did. I can barely see what I'm doing, so I'll give myself a little light. Maybe it'll help everything. Maybe it'll screw everything up. I don't know. Oh, better. So I hope you guys are all having a great time, or had a great time, since it's past tense.